Hello, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, I want to talk about something that affects us all. The evil that is going on, the wickedness that is going on. Do you ever sometimes wonder when it will end? Or do you sometimes just think that it will go on forever and ever, like you'll never see the end of it? If you've been fasting, praying, engaging in spiritual warfare and doing everything to see the end of that wickedness, to see the day when it is over, done, and you never have to go through it again, but you're not seeing that day. Days are just passing, months are passing, years are going by, and you're just wondering, the wickedness is becoming more and more. It is just increasing and growing each and every day. Do you ever wonder if that is it? It will never change. If you are in that category, then this video today is for you, because today we'll be talking about the wickedness that is going on, the destiny exchange, destiny manipulation, tampering and manipulating with people's destiny, and the concept of time. How long will this be going on for? Has God forgotten what's going on? So that is what we'll be talking about today. But before I dig deeper into this topic, I just want to welcome those that are on my channel for the very first time. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so happy to have you on board. We're glad you stopped by. For my return viewers and my subscribers, thank you so much for your continued support. I really appreciate it. And now everyone, you know the drill. If you're watching this and you like this type of content, do not hesitate to hit that like button. Secondly, if you know someone who you think these words may be of benefit to, just forward and share this video with them. Lastly, everyone, if you're watching and you haven't subscribed yet, consider hitting that subscribe button to formally join our growing family. Now, let's get to today's topic. So, the concept of time and the wickedness, the evil that is going on. When you're going through a tough time, when you're going through something so difficult, a challenging season, the days seem longer. The nights seem like they could not end, So even though it's just one night, it seems like it was a whole week. One day can seem like a whole year when things are really, really tough for you. That's why the Holy Spirit led me to talk about this concept of time, seasons, and the wickedness that sometimes people go through, especially when your destiny has been stolen, exchanged, or manipulated. You're not living the life that God created for you to live. Then you're going through a lot of stuff, a lot of struggle. And you may sometimes, or oftentimes, a lot of times, you're thinking about time. You're thinking about the concept of, when is this season going to end? Or is this just the way the rest of my life is going to be looking like? So the concept of time, let us go to Ecclesiastes chapter 3. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 tells us that, especially Ecclesiastes chapter 3, the beginning of it, it tells us that everything has a time and a season. It says, for everything there is a season and a time, for every matter under heaven. Okay, so everything that God has created has a time and a season. And then he goes on to explain a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, and so on. But this is where it really tells us about the spiritual law of time and seasons. Okay, so what happens with destiny exchange or destiny manipulation is that someone goes and tampers with your seasons. So when you're supposed to be harvesting, when you've worked so hard and you're supposed to be harvesting and enjoying the fruits of your labor, then the destiny exchange has tampered with your season. So you've moved from the season of planting, and now that is the working hard, and now you've entered into the season of harvest. And so you're expecting to be reaping the benefits of what you've been planting or working hard for. But instead, because of the destiny exchange or destiny manipulation, that season doesn't come. So you're expecting to be getting some good outcomes coming, nothing, you know. In fact, you're getting some worse outcomes, some bad news. Nothing is, you know, whatever you're expecting, it's just disappointment instead. So that means that season of harvest has been manipulated with. So you're not receiving that season of harvest that you're supposed to be receiving, because according to this spiritual law of time and seasons, based on Ecclesiastes chapter 3, once you plant, there should be a harvest. So it's just natural. You don't even have to think about it, that I'm working so hard, I'm going to school. When I finish my diploma or my degree and I get my certificate, my diploma or whatever, I'll be able to get a good job. I'll be able to get a good income. Okay, so you're working hard, you're tarrying, you're planting. That's your planting, you're cultivating, you're taking care of whatever seeds you've planted. At the end of it, you're expecting to have a harvest. You're expecting to receive, because you've put in so much, so you're expecting to get out from it, from what you put in. But instead, when you're going to get out, there's nothing. It's zero. So you're coming out empty, and yet you've spent so much effort and time and energy and resources. So this law, spiritual law of time and seasons, is really something you need to focus on, especially if you're thinking about destiny exchange, destiny manipulation. You will notice that the seasons that are supposed to be coming into your life, these seasons are not showing up at all. You're waiting, and now it's my season. Now it's my season to get married. I should be getting married right about now, this age. I'm in my 20s, mid-20s, I'm into 30, mid-30s, I should be getting married. Now this relationship should be turning into, you know, a marriage or something, because all my friends have gotten married. Now it's my turn. You're thinking like that. But this season, the season for you to get married, it doesn't come for you. It's coming for other people, but for you, it's not coming. Where is it? What happened to it? So sometimes destiny exchange, destiny manipulation messes up with your seasons. It messes up with your time and your seasons. Your season is now, this is sort of the time period, around this time period when certain events are supposed to happen. And then a time is the exact event that is supposed to happen. When it's time for you to board the plane, there's a boarding time. There's a time for when the flight is supposed to leave. There's a time to do this, a time to do that. When you look at Ecclesiastes chapter 3, it says for everything there is a season and a time for every matter under the sun. So if it is your season of joy, then there's a time for promotion. There's a time for a baby being born. There's a time for this and that. A time for promotion. A time for this job. So a season is sort of the package, the blanket. Sort of a season is sort of you're getting into the gate. And then there's so many houses. If you're dreaming about this, it would be something like that. When you're entering a certain season, you're entering the gate, you're in the compound. And then a time is more specific. A season is more broad, it's more general. And then a time is very specific for every matter. So that's why it says now, after that, it says a time for every matter under the sun. A time to be born, a time to die. You know, if you work in healthcare, there's usually time of birth, and they'll put it like 6:37 a.m., something like that. And then a time of death, it's very specific. They usually must put down time of death, very specific, 10 or 4 or whatever, p.m. or whatever, very, very specific. So a time is an exact point. What time was it when this happened? A time that you get married is the exact time when you say your vows or you sign that certificate. So there is a time to plant and a time to pluck up. Very, very specific. A season It's broad, it's general. It's like you're in a season of elevation. That means there are many, many different occurrences that will be happening that are part of that season, right? If it's a season of harvest, you'll be harvesting, you'll be getting good outcomes in different areas. At your work, you get a promotion. In your business, you're getting new clients. It's a season of harvest. So I want you to understand these terminologies because it is really, really key. In destiny exchange, destiny manipulation, it is your season that is messed up with. Because once your season is interfered with, you never get into that season. That means the time, the specifics, the time for you to get married, the time for you to get that promotion, the time for you to get, your business growing, it can't happen because you're not in that season. You have to enter into that season first so that then you can harvest these exact things. It's like you enter into the orchard and then you can harvest mangoes, different fruits, oranges, apples, pineapples, but you first have to be in that orchard, right? So it's like that with seasons and time. So at times when you're praying, especially as you're going through this process of trying to restore your stolen or exchanged or manipulated, tampered with destiny, pray for your season to change. Because the season, when your season changes, then automatically whatever comes with that season is what you'll be harvesting, right? Is what you'll be getting. So rather than just focusing on a time, it's my time to get married, but we are not in that season. You cannot get that marriage without you being in that season. So the bigger issue is your season. What happened to your seasons? Someone has messed up with your seasons somehow, right? So that is very, very key for us to know. More importantly is to recognize what season you're in, because certain things cannot happen until you're in the right season. So when you're in a particular season, you notice things that are consistent with that season. Like I mentioned, if you're in a season of joy, a season of harvest, you will notice things that are consistent with that season. So you'll be mostly reaping the benefits of what you put in. So when you're in that season of harvest, it's not time to plant. So if you're trying to plant while you're in the season of harvest, nothing is going to grow because it's not the right season. And you can think about the farmers, right? If you're coming from a farming community, there's usually a specific, time, a season, times of the year when, okay, everybody is going out into their field and they're busy planting because they know the rains will be coming soon, or the sun is, not too hot or whatever. The soil is a bit softer. So it's a good season for this activity. So that is the time they will be engaging in that activity of planting and cultivating and doing whatever. Then certain times of the year, it's not time to plant. It's now time to harvest. And so a lot of what they'll be doing will be consistent with the season of when it is. So they will be harvesting. You'll be noticing everybody around will also be harvesting. So you have to be very aware of your season. So each of us, we have our particular season. My seasons may be very different from yours and from my cousin and my sister and my brother and my auntie. We all have different seasons. God has written for us in the book of Destiny about us, our seasons, different seasons for each one of us, depending on his plan and his purpose for our life. So you have to find out what are your seasons, and you have to recognize when your seasons change and your seasons shift, okay? So that when your destiny is stolen, manipulated, exchanged, you can recognize this is not just a change of season. This is not this or that. I'm in the right season, but my time for this to happen is not coming. I am in the season of marriage. I am in the season of marriage, but there's no wedding day. It's time. I am in the season of marriage, but there is no time for me to get married. There is no time for wedding, meaning wedding day is not there, it's not coming. What happened? My season of marriage is here. And when you're in a season of marriage, that's when you look like a bride. You're glowing like a bride. People make comments to you. Oh, are you married? Like those type of people just ask you, are you dating? Do you have, what's happening with your, they're interested in your marital life. People make comments. You start seeing wedding dresses. You pass by somewhere and someone is talking about wedding, like, then you know that this is your season. Sometimes when you're dreaming, you dream about things related to a wedding. You see people in a celebration and it's sort of a wedding, or you're picking something, for a wedding. These are the signs that you are in your marriage season. But now, is there time going to come for you to get married? Are you going to get married? Yes or no? So if your destiny has been manipulated, the season will come, the time will not come. Right? You're in your season, but nothing else is happening. The actual event will not take place. So you have to be cognizant. This also helps you to understand things from your dreams, from what you're seeing around, because this is how sometimes the Holy Spirit will be pointing different things to us so that we are aware, what season are we in and what is it time for us to be doing. Okay? Very, very important, so that when you're fasting and when you're praying, you can be as specific as possible. The more specific you are, the better the results you get, or the faster the results. You get to see breakthrough if you're very, very specific. And what I'm sharing here is going to help you to be very specific, right? So you have to know what season you're in. And then when you're in that particular season, now there are certain things you're expecting, specifics. If God has now shown you through your dreams, through, different things, different witnesses to confirm what is showing in his word and in the dreams, and the events that are consistent with that season are not happening, that is the time to engage in fasting. Because something has happened, right? It's supposed to be time for you to get that promotion. It's not happening. In fact, the company is shutting down and you're getting demoted, or you're losing that job altogether. Something has happened. Go on a fast, right? So when you notice that you're in a particular season, all the signs are there to indicate that this is your season for this to happen, okay? And then those events, a time for promotion, a time for growth, a time for this, a time for your wedding, a time for this, is not happening. That's the time to go on a fast, okay? And to be very specific. I am in this season now and you have shown me this. So when is the appointed time, right? Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3. You see, it's talking about the appointed time. So when you're in a particular season, then there's going to be an appointed time for this event, an appointed time for that event, as appointed time for that specific thing to happen. So now when you're in that season and the appointed time is not showing up as it is supposed to show up, you go into a fast and you remember to pray using Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3 for the appointed time, so that there is no delay, so that there is nothing blocking that appointed time from coming to pass, right? Because with destiny exchange, destiny manipulation, they mess up with your time and your seasons. You could be in your season for getting married, no wedding. You could be in your season to start your family, to have your children, no fruit of the womb, but you're in your childbearing season. It's your season to start having your babies, your children, no pregnancy. Okay, so you have to be very specific, especially when you're in your season, because you don't want to miss your season. That is the thing. You don't want to miss your season. So with destiny exchange, destiny manipulation, the goal is for you to miss your time. The goal is for you to miss your time, so that you come to that season and then that time for this specific thing to happen come and pass. and then you missed it. It's sort of like you missed the bus, you missed the train, you missed your flight. So if you're dreaming, these are the type of dreams you'll be having, that you missed your flight. You weren't there or whatever, and then the flight, has left. You missed your flight. Or the flight was supposed to come, you're waiting, and it never came, it never showed up. Or a bus or a car. Those are all dreams of destiny. Modes of transportation that will take you from one place to another place. Those are destiny dreams. And so when you have those type of dreams and you know that you're in a particular season, then it's indicating that something has happened to mess up with your time. And when you pray, your deliverance will look like now you have gotten onto the bus, you have gotten onto the train, you have gotten onto the flight. That means nothing has messed up with your time, right? You're in the right season, a season for promotion, a season for progress, a season for something to change in your life, and you are in alignment with the time, right? For that event to happen, it will happen exactly as it is supposed to be. So I hope that this is helping somebody out there in case you're confused about, well, I thought it was time for me to have a certain thing happen in my life, but it didn't happen. I was so sure it was my season, but it didn't happen. I hope that this video today is able to help you to get some clarity concerning that. Now, with destiny manipulation, destiny exchange, the goal is for you to miss your time, right? So that season will come and pass without you experiencing that thing that has been exchanged. That particular blessing has been taken away. So there's no way you can experience that in your life. So that only happens for a particular time, right? Like, for example, if your marriage destiny was exchanged, so your season of marriage comes, but there is no wedding, there is no actual marriage event that happens until that season passes. So that means that you're now moving into another season, a season for promotion, a season for work or career progression or whatever. So that season of marriage now passes. How will you yourself will just feel now, marriage is not for you, and you start focusing on your career, you start focusing on business, you start focusing on other things. Then somehow that is how, even for you, you'll be knowing that season is now over. But this message is also to let you know that even with destiny exchange, destiny manipulation, your season cannot be tampered with forever. It cannot be endless, because it's only God who has that type of power. But any other power can only alter your time and your seasons for a period of time. Okay? It's temporary. It's only for a period of time. So even if it was your season to get wealthy, but somebody has messed up with your seasons based on destiny exchange or whatever, so you missed that season of getting wealthy, so you're still in poverty, they cannot do that forever. Comes a time that covenant, remember it's based on covenants, that covenant has an expiry date. It will have to expire, whether it's 7 years, whether it's 24 years or 21 years, whether it's 14 years. It always, most times, goes in cycles of 7, right? So cycles of seasons usually go in 7s. So it could be 7 years, it could be 14 years, 21 years, whatever. Usually, I don't know why, but it goes in cycles of 7, because 7, I think, is the number of completion, because the earth was created in 7 days. A week is 7 days. So in cycles, right? Because cycles signal the change of seasons. So when that cycle is completed, a new season must come. This is the law of seasons and time. A new season must come. It cannot go back again to the same season unless that covenant is reinstated. Okay? So this is also giving us hope and encouragement to know that this season must end. There is an expiry date because of the law of seasons and time. It must come to an end. It's a cycle, and every cycle has a starting point and an ending point. And when it ends, that season has to change. Okay, so this is just giving you some hope and some encouragement that there is no night without daytime. Every night must have a dawn, and then it becomes daytime. It is a law of time and seasons. So even no matter what has been done to exchange your destiny and messed up your seasons and your times, the seasons must change. They can tamper with your time to get married, your time for promotion, your time to get wealthy, your time to have your fruit of the womb, but the law of seasons is in the hand of God. Even that, they cannot mess up with it and say, you will never, ever, 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 ever have this season in your life. It can't be, because Satan operates within certain parameters. As it is written, I can't remember what book it is. Somebody please put it in the comment section for me. It says the justice, God is a God of justice, and his justice lasts for generations, or his justice is for generations. His righteousness is for generations. So it means that unrighteousness cannot be for generations. It has an expiry date, because God's justice must be for generations and generations. It is only what is from God that lasts forever. Everything else that is from the kingdom of darkness, it has an expiry date. Even in the book of Revelations, it says that Satan was thrown down onto the earth from the heavens, right? And he is here for a short while. He knows that his time is short. That is why he is, having a lot of fury, because he knows his time is short, right? So there's a concept of time. So every evil has a time. When Job was going through what he was going through, it was for a period of time. And then after that, God came back and said, okay, enough. That is it. We're done. Now God restored him, right? That is why also in Joel chapter 2, it says, I will restore the years that the cankerworm, the caterpillar, the locust have eaten, and the palmer worm have eaten, right? Because seasons change. Seasons change. So in the book of Isaiah, you can see that in the Old Testament, it uses sort of the metaphors of farming, where there's a time when they planted, and then there was a time for harvest and something happened. And so even with the locusts and the cankerworm, the caterpillar and the palmer worm, these are all insects that devour plants so that there is no harvest, right? So when the season comes for harvest, there is no harvest. So this is just to tell you that with everything that you're going through, there's a time and a season for everything, and God is able to change your seasons. No matter what has happened to tamper with it, that season will also change, and God will restore back things to the natural order for how he created them to be at the beginning. In the book of Genesis, how he created things to run in order, right? That is what helps things to be in order the way that they're supposed to be. It is through the law of time and seasons. And so even when there is some manipulation to tamper with the time and seasons, God Almighty will restore everything back to the natural order the way it was when he created everything, because that is the spiritual law. Thank you so much. That is the word for today. It's a word of encouragement for someone out there today. As usual, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I will see you in my next video. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue anywhere that has risen to condemn you, we condemn it in the mighty name of Jesus. Have a wonderful day. Be blessed. Shalom. Bye-bye.